Hello, welcome to this clip on ensemble awareness. When we improvise, we need to be aware of our ensemble from the perspective of creating material and the impact that we as creators of material have on our colleagues and vice versa. So the first exercise I provide in this chapter has to do with creating a riff collectively. So we layer, each player layers his or her own riff. For this exercise, it is assumed that you are comfortable creating your own motifs. This has been explored in the first chapter. I play my backing track, which in this case is a recording, but it could be some members of your ensemble. Now it's in D minor. So I have a little bit of time to lab, to experiment my motif and try it out and fix it. So, okay, I like the idea of starting on the A and going to the D, but I would like to sharpen the rhythm a little bit. So, if I like it, I loop it. If I'm comfortable with it, I cue my neighbor as I keep repeating the loop, as I keep looping the motif, and my neighbor now is experimenting with his or her own material until he or she is comfortable with it, and we keep layering motifs. One important thing I need to consider before cueing my neighbor is, am I leaving enough space for the other player to say something? In other words, I need to leave some empty parts of this bar so that the other person can fill them in. This motif that I played spreads out through quite a few beats, but it leaves quite a bit of space in between. So I think it's a good example. I think it could work well in this exercise. Another type of motif is by condensing them a little bit more. So here's an example, taking less amount of time, being shorter. For example, I'm not going to start on beat 1, which would be a fairly obvious thing to do. So I'm starting on beat 2. Comfortable, enough space, cue my partner. And as I keep looping, my partner starts his or her lapping. What is important in this exercise is that I spend a little bit of time working the motif. That's the lap fashion, but I don't take too long because I need to acknowledge that my other colleagues are waiting for my cue. The lab fashion allows you to question your own material. Am I happy with it? Is it interesting? Is it short enough? Does it leave enough space? Let me give you one more example. I'll do this in sort of slow motion, speaking out my thinking behind. I listen first, find my place in the beat, in the bar. Okay, I'm comfortable with it. Okay, that's too busy. So, that could work. And now I cue my partner. Okay, so I'm going to give you another example. In this case, I'm going to do it faster, the way it would be in real life. I'm not going to speak out to you. So really, to elaborate the motif from nothing to the point of cueing my partner, it may take me only 4 bars around that. A first trial, a little bit of fixing, secure it, and then I cue my partner. It is important to keep in mind that these exercises are not about improvising motifs, or they are not about riff building. They are about developing ensemble awareness. Riff building is only one way to develop ensemble awareness. You could create many exercises that address this issue. I'm going to improvise freely motifs, and I'm going to make sure that I leave some gaps, some empty parts of the bar for another improviser to fill in with some comments. So these fill-ins could come from a drummer, for instance. So I'm improvising, and then I leave a little bit of space for the drummer to do something. The comment just can pass around the player. So it's me improvising, and then the drummer comments in the first instance. Next time I leave a space, the bass is going to comment. Next time I leave a little bit of space, the piano is going to comment, and so on and so forth. So what we're doing here by cueing the player is spelling out something that in real life improvisation happens naturally. Everybody understands that that's a space that can be filled out by another player, and in fact the whole improvisation benefits from that interaction. In this case, we are spelling it out, we are making it obvious to everybody. One important thing to point out here is that at this point, when we are dealing with pre-improvisational skills, it is not really important that the material that I play and the material of my colleague commenting on what I'm doing are much related. To address that type of interaction, I have designed the 8 strategies for collaborative improvisation, and that's another teaching resource. But at this point, we're not concerned with how the material interacts or relates. What is important at this point is that I am making the conscious effort to leave space for someone else. And that's all I'm trying to develop, the skill to share the improvisational canvas with another member of the ensemble.